Hello.
Fuck me, man. Hello, indeed. My God. We are absolutely putting the roast in the pot roast today, and I'm going to pop a fucking aneurysm if it gets. If I get one more degree atmosphere, and we are going to fucking fall out, mate. We both had to change into black t-shirts for that exact same reason. It was getting a little bit fucking swampy up in the caverns there.
Oh, just
I'm
a bit.
assuming that's your excuse, McManus. How are you doing?
It's fucking hot in this office right now. I had to bust the window open, and it is getting colder. And my drinks full of ice and rum. So, yes.
Happy days. I've got a lovely little spritzer going on, getting myself in the summer spirit. He says as he complains gratuitously about the heat.
Always, every year. I'm a cold person kind of guy. I love the freezing.
Yeah, if I had to take one or the other, give me that cold, snappy holiday, fucking weather all day, every day.
Heat
I can't
pisses
even
me
open
off.
a window, man. Can't even open a window. I've got 5 minutes down that way, I've got a police station. 5 minutes down that way, I've got a hospital. And then 5 minutes over there, I've got nothing but fields and trees. So it's either sirens, or mosquitoes out the wazoo. So it's just like I have to isolate myself. I can't pick any of them evils. I want nothing to do with any of them. And it's like, well, I'll just put on a black t-shirt and suffer. You know what I mean? Like the things that I do for sound quality and skin quality, because those mosquitoes love me, man. They love me.
Oh,
they love me more than my mother loves me.
Oh, I think because I'm type O, like they take a bite of me, fly off, and probably die because like none of them ever come back. But when they do try, and I see them, gone.
Do they have a type preference? I never thought about it before.
I don't know.
Have they conducted a survey? Like, did they interview 1,000 mosquitoes?
I know I don't get bit as many people in my family. Like, I don't come out with dirty great lumps or anything like that. They just don't like me for some reason.
I never used to, but since I moved up here, it's like I'm a new exotic flavor or something, because they're just loving it. They're like, give me some of this southern sweetness. You know what I mean? So they're all over me up here. They like that ethnic cuisine, I guess, is what I am to them. I'm just nothing but a fucking a different culture, a different blood type, new meal, new day, new episode, new day as well. It's been a little while, McManus. We've had a couple of weeks, I think, almost now, since we've been on. We were going to wait till next week, because George is coming back next week, everyone. Do not worry. And he's going to have a lovely little chat about Download 2024. We couldn't make it. I wish I could blame the mosquitoes, unless they've been sucking out my wallet as well. That's another conversation.
No, but the whole week before, I was moaning so bad that I wanted to go. So I was willing to try and get the money from fucking somewhere, and it just wasn't happening. So, and then 2 days later, I see all the fucking mud, and oh, thank fuck.
Yeah, that did make me glad that I wasn't going. Having said that, if it was like scalding hot like it is now, I probably would have hated that just as much. So you just can't please some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been. I always say that I want to go. Every year I say that I want to go, and I say I'm going to go next year. And every year the lineup just slowly gets worse and worse and worse. In my opinion, maybe it's just, it's not for me anyway. I don't know. But I wish I would have gone back in the old, like 2007, 2008, in the heyday.
Was fucking ridiculous. It's the first
back in those days. You would have been getting Metallica, Linkin Park, System of a Down. You would have been getting all them classics, Slipknot, you know, on the Subliminal Verses tour, whatever it was, you know, all that
Lamb of
stuff.
God performance in 07. That was just, it's a legendary performance to this day. And I remember being I was sat up on a hill on the left hand side of the stage watching it with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I want to go down there. Like, no, you're not. You're gonna get fucking murdered.
Mate, I saw Lamb of God a couple of years before that when they was at Colchester at the Arts Centre. For which people don't know, it's like a tiny little venue. And all my friends come back from download, you know, I'm bummed that I couldn't go, whatever. They're like, oh my God, that Lamb of God set was sick. It was the most epic, biggest, massive thing I've ever said. Like, well, actually, I only see them in smaller venues. You know, I sort of tried to play that card. That's how I kind of, you know, dealt with the pain. And truth be told, I would much prefer the smaller venue. Like, you put me in one of those walls of death or whatever, like, I'm going to be a micron thin by the end of that. Like, if there's one way to get me to lose some fucking more calories than I need to, you put me in a Lamb of God, wall of death at a fucking festival show in the heat, you know, so I sweat out and then I dry out like fruit, and then they fucking slam me shut so I turn into a Nutri-Grain bar, you know. That's how I would end it up.
The worst thing is to fucking imagine this. It's just like,
one of my favorite things to watch is videos of people. You must have seen one of these videos where people go to like death metal gigs and they bring like a board game with them and they try and play the board game in the middle of the pit. It cracks me up every time.
Yeah, and it's a different game. I like it when they change it up, but like it's like, yeah, let's try and play chess. You've got 10 seconds, but fucking good on you.
My favorite one, it must have been in like Europe or something. Some like Norwegian death metal band are playing. All these kids are in like spikes and face paint or whatever, and the band's just building up to a crescendo. The floor's opened up and all these fuckers run in with a Monopoly board, and they fucking throw the Monopoly board down. He quickly starts throwing money out to people, and then before they can even roll the dice, just bang, they're gone, never to be seen or heard from again. But I admire the dedication to the bit. And you know what? That's probably the best way to play Monopoly, because otherwise it's just going to go on way too long. And with property prices these days, am I right? Anyway, happy days. But yeah, so next week we'll have George on and he can talk from our on the ground consultation viewpoint of the Download 2024 festival, so we can get all the juicy bits on that next time. And it's like, well, we could wait until next week, or we could squeeze in an episode and talk about all the cool cultural shit that George is missing out on while he's out there giving himself neck cramps, right? And you know, The Boys has been out now. We're about halfway through the new season. They've just announced the creative team for the new Green Lantern TV show, which looks like they're putting some serious, lofty, high-level talent on that. They've got what's his name, Damon Lindelof, and Tom King, esteemed comic book writer Tom King, and you know, TV, you know, legend of the modern era, Damon Lindelof. He worked on Lost, he worked on the Watchmen series, which was superb. So it's like they really want people to know that this ain't your papa's Green Lantern. They're trying to take this shit seriously, put that up into a new echelon of you know, of how people view it or whatever. And that's going to be on HBO, you know, which is where all the best shit allegedly comes out. So it's like, it is pretty good.
Still not gotten that app yet.
Oh, don't even get me started with the HBO, you know, or
Like,
the Max as it's now
that was
known.
supposed to come out, what, 2 years over here? And where the fuck is it? No.
Yeah, I don't know how that shit works with like international licensing rights, and I guess like how they, you know, what servers and networks and all this stuff they're going to be operating off of. And I, you know, it is easy to think like, oh, well, it's just streaming, man. They just fucking remotely send it to your TV. Why can't they just give it to everyone? But I do get there's probably like a lot of like, you know,
I'm not sure if it's
logistical shit around it that prevents them from doing it that easily. I mean, we had to wait like, I think nearly a whole year for Disney Plus, right?
yeah, and it's
And
been longer than that
that's
from
the biggest
HBO.
company in the
And
world, one of,
yeah,
and they got
and they
it
even
within a
said it.
year.
They did say it was like, oh, if you like, if you know live in America at the moment, you can't like download the app or watch this, but it will be coming to you soon.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah, I know, and I know that HBO have some kind of deal with Sky because all of the
Yeah,
HBO
Sky Atlantic. Yeah, it's all
original
on there.
stuff goes to Sky. So there's a lot of money tied up in that because Sky's not, you know, Sky's not cheap. If you want those full packages and everything else, one of the
Yeah,
reasons
but
I don't have it.
you also have to deal with 3 minutes of ads every 20 minutes or every 15.
Yeah. Well, we've all been dealing with a lot of that now, and specifically Amazon Prime. Shout out to my mate Jeff. But
Fuck you.
yeah, I say that ironically. But me and Jeff go back a long time. If you go back to the first episodes of this show, I've got a long, winding road of a relationship with Mr. Bezos, as I like to call him because we're such good friends, my mate Jeff. But anyway, yeah, Amazon Prime, not an affiliated sponsor, are killing my fucking ass with all these fucking ads, right? And it's just like and I don't even mind if it's ads so much. It's the same ads every time. For like a month, I was getting nothing but ads for Roadhouse. So if I watch a movie that's like 90 minutes long, I'll probably get like 3, maybe 4 ad breaks in that movie.
Okay.
And I swear
Roadhouse.
3 out of the 4 of them would be fucking Roadhouse ads, right? And I'm watching this on Amazon, which is obviously where Roadhouse is also streaming. So they know I've already fucking watched Roadhouse. Don't advertise me shit that I've already watched. It's like over in the States where they keep playing the AMC ads at AMC theaters with Nicole Kidman. I don't know if you heard about this, but it's like you're already in that theater. Advertise me something else that I'm not currently paying for. Do you know what I mean? I don't need the same Roadhouse ads. And now that was last month. This month, I'm getting Quiet Place ads every time. Every fucking ad break in every movie for the last week has been nothing but Quiet Place Day 1 ads. I'm like, diversify.
That's all I've been getting on my iPad is the Quiet Place ads on this. It's on fucking IMDb. It's on YouTube. Oh, have you seen this trailer? And like the ad before the thing you're trying to watch will be the Quiet Place. And like, I don't need to watch it. Don't need to watch it. Don't need to watch it.
It does look all right, the Quiet Place. I mean, I don't love them. They're very much just built around that one gimmick, really. I mean, you might say gimmick. I might call it, you know, skimping on sound recording. But whatever, you know, cutting corners. If that's what you want to do, John Krasinski, you know. It's like I thought we'd move past the era of the silent movie, but you want to go ahead fucking running around like Charlie Chaplin with a shotgun in the woods. By all means.
Nothing wrong, motherfucker, with silent movie.
Yeah, I do agree.
Wasn't Nosferatu like the original silent movie? But that was made like over 100 fucking years
Yeah, well,
ago.
that was made before they could do sound. This is what I'm saying. We've progressed. Don't put sound in my movies and then take it away like I'm being punished like a naughty child. Don't do that to me. You know, I saw The Artist, Best Picture winner of 2010 or whatever it was. Like, we don't need to keep doing this same bit over and over again. But all jokes aside, I do think Quiet Place Day One, because this might be the loudest one, McManus, because this is set at the beginning. Nobody's figured out. Nobody's figured out that these aliens are like sound activated or whatever, and we're gonna have to go on that journey as they're presumably, hopefully, for their own sakes, figuring out that these motherfuckers rely on sound, because you're not going to know the difference, right? Because if they're like crashing down in like pods and cars are like crashing and people are going apeshit and buildings are falling down, it's going to be loud. You know what I mean? Regardless of whether you try and be quiet or not. So it's going to be a while. You know, they're going to finally like get away from like the, what do they call it, like ground zero or whatever, where all these pods are landing. And then they're going to have to start figuring out, okay, why are these things, how are they still finding us? You know? Like,
well, these
it's going to be fun.
Well, comic books obviously don't exist in this world, and no one's seen Daredevil, so it blows that out of the water, doesn't it?
I mean, well, yeah, because these things, it's not just like they can hear you talking. Like, these things will hear the leaves crunching under your pinky little toes on the grass. Like, these things are like super sensitive, right? So
yeah, so it's just like whatever moves is echoing back of the sound waves that's touching that thing that's moving, so it's making them think like basically they've got a whole picture. They might be fucking they're blind as shit, but hearing's like 10,000 times than it should be. So
you know what annoys me? Right, in that first movie, John Krasinski, he takes the boy to the waterfall and he's like, look what it's like. You can make noise and they'll go, way! And they're having a great time. And then I'm watching that and I'm thinking, well, hang on a fucking minute. Why don't you just live under the waterfall? Obviously, make all the noise you want and free fucking water all the time. Protection, you can sleep at night, you know what I mean? And then I was like, John Krasinski, he doesn't want to hear Emily Blunt fucking nagging at him one more fucking minute. That's all it is. It's like, I'm married to this bitch in real life. Now I'm married to this bitch in the movie. Whether I'm at home or I'm at work, I can't get away from this fucking British bat fucking having it off in my ear all 24/7 hours of the day, days of the week. I'm not going to tell her about the waterfall, because the second I do,
it's ruined.
She's back in my ear hole. I'm never going to hear the end of it. So, son, the waterfall is just for me and you.
Who the fuck is going to live under a waterfall? Seriously. Have you heard of hypothermia?
Have you heard my farts? I couldn't live. Those aliens would have me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, mate, before I could even squeeze my morning loadout. Like,
yeah, the average Englishman would be fucked.
Have you ever tried to take a dump without farting? You know how that's such a precision based skill. It is so hard to do that. Like, I'd be gone, mate. I'm done. First morning of the invasion, you know, I have 2 sips of my coffee, the methane hits, and that is it. I'm out. Like,
you get speared for your own fucking bathroom.
Exactly. I mean,
on the way of Elvis.
I mean, on the flip side, though, we're all in a little communion, yeah, little community of us all living under the waterfall, and you're over this side of the waterfall with your cup, filling it up with water. And then you look over this side of the waterfall, and it's just me taking a dump. You know, but not the best situation, but arguably, I think it's better than living in the woods with crunchy leaves and twigs. Like, if I've got to take a few speckles of dump water in my morning coffee, that's the price I got to pay. You know what I mean? But you know, I guess it's easy to say if it's my own dump than somebody else's. But you know, I'll just live by myself. Don't worry. You need me, I'll catch me out by the waterfall.
Shit off the end of a cliff. Right. No one needs that image.
Not at all. But anyway, yeah, Quiet Place looks fun. Lupita Nyong'o, she's always good in stuff. Jaimin Honsu's always good in stuff, unless it's Rebel Moon. Then he's just as bad as everybody else, unfortunately. You know what? He's even worse in Rebel Moon because I expect better from him. Everyone else is just like some no-name fucking space wheat farmer or whatever. I expect more from Jaimin Honsu. But whatever. I hope it's good. But like I say, it's all off of the same gimmick, and I don't know. I think it's going to do well though, because even though it is a gimmick, I think people need a bit of a gimmick to go and see a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least it's got like a thing that's sort of unique to those movies that you don't get from other movies.
Yeah.
So
it's got to look like something you've not watched before, and it's not going to bore you shitless within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, people, you know, it's not enough to have like a big action property, you know, franchise, like well-known IP thing with like a famous, you know, with The Rock or, you know, a Chris Pratt or whoever, you know, any of the Chris's.
Oh, speaking of that, have you seen the latest? I think it's Red One.
I haven't watched this trailer. I've heard it looks bad.
New Christmas movie with Rock,
J.K. Simmons, J.K. Simmons,
and Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And it's the next Christmas movie. And
is that getting you going?
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking watch it because Corey saw it. Corey saw literally a clip of it. Went, The Rock's in a new movie. We're gonna go watch this. Like, are we? Like, yeah, please. Like, okay. Not knowing. I'm gonna go watch it anyway.
I like J.K. Simmons. I was actually like intrigued about this movie when they announced it, and then it got like delayed and reshot, and there was loads of stuff, and then the trailer came out, and I just heard a lot of people online saying that the trailer just didn't look good. So I don't know. I'm not the target for a, you know, I'm not going to watch like a Christmas movie by myself during the holidays. Like, they're not depressing enough as it is. You know what I mean? So, so I probably won't bother with that. And The Rock,
I don't think it will.
I don't love The Rock either, really.
Go to the cinema. I think it's going to come out on something.
Yeah, it might be a Netflix original. I don't know. And then are people going to assume that it's a sequel to Red Notice as well? It could be a prequel to Red Notice, you know, because The Rock's in that as well.
Yeah, and this guy works at the North Pole. There's a whole North Pole story behind it, and it's ridiculous.
Oh, and if you're naughty at Christmas, you don't get coal, you get a bottle of piss under the Christmas tree. Is that how it works now, Dwayne?
No. There's a part where Chris Evans comes in because he's the best at what he does in the world, and The Rock goes, "Oh, this guy? Why this guy? You know he's on the naughty list, right? What? And he's a level 4 offender. A level 4 what?" And it's like, you mean this guy? And then this polar bear that's standing up with armor comes out. And it's like, this guy, a level 4 naughty lister. It's just like, what?
I do love the idea that there's like an enforcement system for the naughty list. That does tickle me a little bit, you know, because how would you weigh that up? Because naughty or nice is very like black and white, you know what I mean? You've got to allow, you know, even Santa's got to allow for the grey moral complexities of human nature or whatever, you know?
Yep. one thing at the very beginning of this trailer, but one thing that doesn't make sense is like it starts with Santa Claus lifting like the weights of 8 or 10 people, and the Rock just like grabs the weights off him, like, "Ah, good lifting, Santa." And like he just gets up like it was nothing, just walks away, and then he gets kidnapped.
When he can like, yeah, when he's like super strong, and presumably that's not his only power, right? Because if he's super strong, he can lift all those presents, right? He can shrink, go down your chimney like Ant-Man. You know, he can move at super speeds and like break the sound barrier to visit all the different houses, you know, across the world in one night. Like this,
But no,
this ain't a dude you want to fuck around with.
No, but he gets kidnapped.
Yeah, because I've always thought that would be fun. Like, why has nobody done like a superhero origin movie for Santa? You know, I think there's a way that you could do that where you play it like really straight and like sincerely, and it just becomes completely ridiculous. I think they kind of did that a little bit with what's the animated one? Is it Rise of the Guardians, where you've got like the Avengers and it's like the Easter Bunny and Santa and some other, who else is in there? Jack Frost or whatever.
I have not heard of that.
Oh, I don't know.
No, you know the guy who's in plays the cop in fucking hell, Stranger Things.
Oh, David Harbour.
Yeah.
The Violent Night. Is it Violent Night? I haven't seen that, but I heard it was good.
Yeah, it turns out like I think he was 4, and then somehow like time changed and he became Santa Claus, and they do this whole background story behind him. And
that works.
And then I think these people try and do something, and he's just like, "Oh, I don't want to murder you," and like they go to fucking murder him, and they just end up being fucking splattered everywhere.
Have you seen the one where it's Mel Gibson and Walton is Santa, and then Walton Goggins is like a hitman, and a kid hires a hitman to go and kill Santa because he didn't get what he wanted for Christmas?
Yes.
Now,
I like that movie. That was quite fucking.
It's pretty good.
Ridiculous.
I mean, having Mel Gibson play like a Christian, you know, a Western Christian icon is a bit of a weird ground to be tiptoeing around. Yeah, I mean, but I like that movie. I thought that was pretty good. I'd say that was probably my favorite version of Santa that we've seen, you know, in a movie.
The version of
I reckon
Goggins is like, what? Why would you want to come and kill me, you motherfucker? There's one toy, and you didn't get it from me, did you?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's an absolute good one. And I don't know why we're talking about fucking. It's a weird time to release a trailer for a Santa movie, you know, right in the middle of the summer. But I guess, you know, the film's out in 6 months, so you know, when you're going to release it, you could have probably waited a little bit late, let it cool down, or maybe if I don't know, maybe if I watch the trailer, is there a snow in it? Will it make me feel cooler than I am just by like,
some people do,
osmosis?
like some people are like that when like they think about freezing their ass off and somehow it cools them down. Like, fuck knows how that works. It's just something in mind. But
yeah, give me that. You know, I suppose when the Force Awakens trailer came out in the winter, and it was all fucking desert planet. So I guess this is tit for tat, you know. But fuck knows. Anyway, not a lot of fucking. Should we have a look, see if there's been any news before we get into the other topic? Not really. I don't think there's. Yeah. There's not been a lot kicking off lately. A lot of set photos from Superman. You know, the suit is in fact very blue. You know, you know
Very
what, that
true.
annoyed me, because when they released the that first image, the official image of the shoot, and a lot of people's complaint was, well, you said this was going to be a bright and hopeful Superman, and he looks fucking dark and miserable, putting his fucking boots on in, you know, in the dark or whatever. And it's like, when we see these set pictures, obviously the suit is a lot brighter than what they made it out to be. And it's like, well, if the suit is brighter, show us it
Show it.
brighter.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to put the first image of your new hopeful Superman out and it's all grim and dark? Like, that's exactly what people have been moaning about. And it's like, if the suit is brighter than that, which it obviously is, because now we've seen more of it, then fucking turn those fucking dials up, James, and let us have a look at the fucking brightness. You know, or put your fucking brightest foot forward or whatever. So it's just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks cool, it looks good, but I just like, why didn't you lead with that? You knew people were going to moan if it was dark. Like, fucking, I could tell you that. And I'm just some nobody sweating off in the middle of England. Like, oh yeah. So, one last thing. This is news that we're not covering. Not directly, but there is a new Deadpool trailer out. And I will say, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the new Deadpool trailer, don't watch the new Deadpool trailer. Don't do it.
Spoiler.
I didn't watch it, but it will. It's gonna give you more than what you want. Like you're already going to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know who I'm talking to, but it doesn't matter. You're all fucking going to see it. And if you're the kind of person that wants to click on the trailer, a new trailer for this movie, then you definitely are already going to see it. And I'm going to tell you, don't watch the trailer. Just go and watch the fucking movie. It's out in like less than 4 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Just go and watch the movie. And if you do watch the trailer, and you get spoiled and you want to warn your friend to not watch the trailer, don't watch the trailer because beep is in the trailer. That's a dick move. It's a dick move, McManus. It's a dick move. Nah. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, luckily, because I've been following the production of Deadpool and Wolverine for like a year now. I already knew that person was going to be in this movie. There's other people I'm pretty sure I know who are going to be in this movie that haven't been in any of the trailers, and I won't ruin those for anyone. But it's going to be good. I'm excited. I think everyone's excited, and it's nice to have everyone sort of just excited for a Marvel movie again. You know what I mean? It feels like it's been a little while.
Yeah, it has been, because they've just been releasing bullshit, and
yeah,
I'm just
and you know, and it's not, and it is a case of like the quality and the consistency is definitely dropped. But I also think part of it, and it's the same thing with Star Wars, right? A big part of why people don't love it as much as when they used to is because you're different when you're older, you know? Yeah. And not to say that you have to like grow up and stop liking Star Wars and Marvel or whatever, but you just, how you approach it and how you kind of, you know, ingest it and think about this kind of stuff, it does change as you get older. And you know, I don't need to be in my 20s again, you know, counting down the days for every Marvel movie, you know, figuring out how the Avengers is going to work and all this kind of stuff. Like, I had that time and that was fun. I don't need to get 100% back to that. But every now and then, it would be nice to be excited for one of these. And it does. And I'm definitely excited for this. And I think most people are. And it's nice to have people on the same page. I really hope there's nothing in this movie that's going to start like dividing people. You know, I hope there's not too many women in it. You know, I hope there's not too many minorities in it. I hope there's not too many gay people or lesbians or trans people. Hope there's not too many. They're called minorities for a reason. Keep them to a fucking minimum, all right? Because you keep fucking upsetting people who can't handle the fact that the world looks like this now. It's fine. I hope there's so much fucking... I hope there's so much gay anal sex in this movie. Just fucking piss everyone off. I hope Deadpool keeps ripping open Wolverine a new arsehole when it heals up, and he rips it open again and just keeps going to town on that bad boy until his balls hit the adamantium.
Someone is going to be offended when this fucking movie comes out, because it's the first one coming out. Someone is going to be offended.
There's going to be something, like even something like The Last Jedi, which didn't really have an overtly like political angle, you know. It was just as much Oscar Isaac's movie or Kylo Ren's Adam Driver's movie as it was, you know, Rey's movie, you know. So it's like
those movies, man, and my mind ran away with me. My mind ran away more with what the movie's going to be than what it was actually like, because when I watched the actual one, and like I was cut like half and half. I was walking home out, like the first one, I love the first one. The second one, what the fuck? And the third one fucking broke me because, well, later went out a window.
No, that is a good point. I do think a lot of the upset around Last Jedi was more because of like expectations of the plot rather than like a political thing. But I will say also, because people were upset about how the plot went and what they didn't get all the things that they'd imagined Luke Skywalker doing since they were 3 or whatever, everyone turned their hate on, oh, well, you spent too much time on Rey, Rose Tico, Asian woman in Star Wars. Everyone turned, and I think that was the sort of the turning point for when people started kind of doing that. And like, you know, we don't like a movie, so we're going to blame it on this, like, you know, this woke agenda or whatever. It's like, no, it's good writing, there's bad writing. That's all there is. But I just hope to God,
blaming the actors, you're a toxic fuck bag, and begin with. Sorry. Well,
and I hope there's like risky stuff. I mean, because of The Last Jedi, so many big franchises are fucking scared shitless to take any kind of big, you know, swings or leaps, or, you know, sometimes you can do stuff that kind of goes, you know, left field or whatever, and not necessarily what everyone expects or wants, but you've got to do it. There's a certain, you know, you've got to do it with deftness, and not just do the opposite because that's just to, you know, nobody wants to subvert just for the subversion's sake. Like, actually have some purpose to it. I mean, some people would say that Last Jedi did do that. I mean, everyone's going to disagree to a certain extent, but as much as I want Deadpool to like do stuff and like be out there and be wild and be unexpected, I can't handle the headache of another, you know, another thing for people to be moaning and grinding their political axes about, like, you know. And hopefully it's not that way. Like, it's Deadpool, we're going to keep it light. But then,
like, if you're going to come at Deadpool with a political agenda, you really don't know what you're fucking doing. Like,
not at all.
Like, fuck off out of our universe. This ain't for you.
Okay, I'll use this as a segue into our main topic. So in The Boys, right, everyone's moaning online, oh my God, Frenchie's kissing a man. Oh no, putting your agenda down my throat. Why can't you just tell a good story? Why's it got to be about his sexuality? Not one fucking person was moaning when Queen Maeve was getting it on with her girlfriend in season 1 and season 2. Nobody mentioned that. Nobody fucking said shit. Now, I wonder why that is. I wonder what the difference is between 2 men kissing and 2 women kissing in the eyes of a male-centric audience. You feel uncomfortable. Good. Because if that makes you feel uncomfortable, then you've clearly got some fucking development issues that need to be worked on. You need to grow as a human, okay? We've all got tongues, we've all got throats, put them together like fucking jigsaw pieces. Who gives a shit, right?
And it's not like Frenchie's actually like, it's not like he hasn't brought it up before.
It has absolutely been mentioned. People saying, "Oh, it's out of nowhere." It's like, well, no, he was in like a throuple situation in season 2 or 3, and it's like they didn't show it, but obviously they were all banging. I mean, he's French for fuck's sake. He's French and he loves MDMA. You think he hasn't felt a ball sack at a rave before? You're fucking kidding yourself. Get over it. It's fine. But
I think that's bad. Read the actual fucking comics.
Oh my god. So have you read the comics, McManus?
I've only online. I actually need like
I'm not judging. I don't care if you read it on the fucking back of a cereal packet. That'd be some fucked up cereal though, wouldn't it?
Fuck. Yeah. I do need copies for myself. I would
So I think in between season 2 and 3, it was a bit of a wait, and I was getting hungry for some boys content, and I'd never read the comics. I'd seen like bits and pieces of it here and there online or whatever over the years.
I'm so glad you said comics after that.
Oh yeah, no, I just needed some boys in my life, in my eyes, in my look. But me and the Pope, we love the boys. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't like the comic, so take from that what you will, right? Anyway, so a lot of people, the general consensus seems to be that the show is like much better than the comic in every way, and that the comic is just like senseless, like edginess for the sake of edginess. And it is pretty harsh. It's very like, it definitely, any taboo issue, any weird sex thing, any weird political scandal, any weird like celebrity sex scandal, anything,
when I sent
the comic does
the other day, like you said, you've got all of them, and it's just got Butcher with Huey walking through the comic book store, and it's like, poof, wanker, pedophile, poof.
Yeah, no, it is very much like that, and it is over the top, but I think it's over the top about like sort of controversial stuff in the same way that, like, you know, in the same way that a comic book is like, you know, over exaggerated from everything, right? Like anything that you can do in a comic, you can do 10 times crazier because you're drawing it. You haven't got to fucking make it, right? So I think the comic is as much as like a commentary on the comic books of the time, and you know, the media at the time. It's like the mid 2000s when it was coming out, in the same way that the TV show is a commentary on, you know, comic book movies and the media and social media and all this kind of stuff now. But because obviously comic books are so much more like colorful and crazy and flamboyant, the comic has to be even crazier than that, you know. And Garth Ennis, the writer, you know, he's a sick man, and he does not like superheroes. For a man who's made his living writing comic books, he does not like a superhero. Obviously, he
fuck them all.
Most famously known for doing The Punisher and Preacher, you know, and a lot of those kind of, you know, sort of boots on the ground kind of, you know, non-superhero stuff. And it's all gnarly as fuck. Even his Punisher stuff, which was the first stuff of his that I'd read, and I thought that was like gut-wrenchingly brutal when I was reading that. And then you're like, nah, Garth Ennis doing the Punisher, that's like Marvel like reining him in, like that's him behaving himself. And then you read Preacher, The Boys, The Pro, Crossed is one that he did that is really fucking rough. If you've never heard of Crossed, like that one is very much like, let's just see how obscene and how horrible we can make this. You know, we can
how
make a
many
comic
issues
book.
can I get away with this?
Yeah.
Like, before I get told to fuck off.
So Crossed is great. It's not great, but it's interesting because it's like a virus. It's like a post-apocalyptic story about a virus, but instead of a zombie virus, people turn like into savages, but they retain like their brains and their personality. So it basically takes away everyone's like morals and inhibitions. So everyone is just acting like everyone just acts like the most like depraved, like horrible, like sociopathic, psychotic version of themselves, but they retain like their personality and everything. And it is literally just, you know, how many gangs can we have like torturing and raping and burning down towns, you know, for a whole comic book series? That is very much like over the top for me. But I think for The Boys, like, I think it goes over the line, sure, but it goes just over the line. I think that's warranted. And, you know, I wouldn't say that I think the book is better than the show, because obviously it's a TV show and it does bring a lot more like nuance. And Homelander in the show versus Homelander in the comic is absolute night and day. Because in the comic book, he's literally just like, he's Superman, but he's just a wide-eyed, deranged lunatic, you know. Like, you'll literally see him like throwing babies up against the wall, and then the next panel he's like singing the Bee Gees, dancing down the corridor. Like, he's just a mindless lunatic. And obviously in the show, like what Anthony Starr is doing, the amount of fucking depth and like intensity and everything like is unmatched. McManus, fucking episode 4 of this new season, I'm assuming you're up to date. Oh my god! Oh my god! And we're not going to go massive details on The Boys for the show. We'll cover it a little bit, but we're gonna if you've seen it, like, I am going to spoil it a little bit, but we'll do a full review when we'll talk about it a little bit now, and it's like a mid-season kind of situation, and then when it's finished, hopefully between now and then, George will have caught up because he's still on season 2. So George is going to finish up The Boys, and then when episode 8 is finished, all 3 of us will come back and do a full-on thing. But my God, season 4, he goes back to the lab, and you're like, why didn't he do this a long time ago? Because he clearly needed to, right? But it took him a little while to realise that he needed to do this. And I say that he needed to do this. He didn't need to do this, what he does, but he clearly needed to address those issues, and in a way that only Homelander can. He does it in the way that he does. And you're watching him, visits the lab, and the second he walks in there, they're all like pretending like they're happy to see him, but the air, and like it does in every time he walks into a room, the fucking air changes instantly. And you're just fucking, you can't stop watching him, but also you want to look away. You don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter how nice he's being, how friendly he's being. You're just waiting. You're waiting for the turn. Like,
this guy can turn you in to fucking jelly. And
it's crazy.
For shits and giggles.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, one of my favorite things about him in all of the show up until this point was that you never see him outside of the suit. He's always wearing the suit, and it kind of gives him this air of being like this, like, more than human kind of, you know, presence, like this sort of mythical being or whatever. And in the first couple of episodes of season 4, we see him wearing like civilian clothes and he's out of the suit, and I'm like, oh man, they kind of ruined it. I liked that we always saw him in the suit or whatever, but then they totally pay it off, because when there's a scene where they're in the office, and he just there's a lady who they think has been like leaking information or whatever, who works in the data room or whatever. And out of nowhere, he just fucking melts her head. And everyone's just like, and he's not even doing that whole like pretending to be nice thing. Like he's just talking, and then bang, her head is gone.
There's your mole.
And you're like, fuck. That instantly takes you back to like, yeah, even though you might have seen him like some of his weakness, some of his human side or whatever, this is just like, this is a walking gun with no safety on it, you know? It's like, this will just fucking tear you a new one and just end you in less than a second. No warning, no nothing. And so when he walks into that fucking lab and he's like, oh, well, you used to make me cakes, and, you know, I'd watch you throwing your little waste paper balls into the basket and all of this stuff. You're like, okay, so he's just...
Get in the fucking oven.
And then it's like, get in the oven, and the guy's like, well, I was just doing my job. And instantly, as soon as he said that, I'm thinking, you know who else said they were just doing their job?
Yeah.
The Nazis, right? So then I'm watching this, and I'm like, he's not wrong. He's got every right to feel this way.
Following orders.
Exactly. They were just following orders, right? So therefore, we're supposed to be on their side of the cinema. It's like, well, no, even though we've seen him do all this other fucked up stuff, you know, doesn't mean we're gonna... As soon as he says that, now instantly I'm on his side. I'm like, well, shit, maybe he should do this. You know, and the only reason he's like this is because people like that were just doing their jobs and didn't say, well, hang on a minute. But then later on in the episode, they say that whole thing of like, well, to be honest, Homelander, you know, as soon as we pulled you out when you were born, you just murdered everyone. So what the fuck was we supposed to do? Like, imagine like a baby with no control, no concept of like, no concept of his powers, no concept of self-control, of ethics. But so that is a very fucking dangerous thing, and you do need to do things to like control that and make sure that doesn't happen again. But also, it's a fucking baby. You need to treat it with love and not fucking manipulate it and experiment on it and do all this stuff. But also, maybe you shouldn't have fucking made the super baby in the first place.
Yep.
So it's just
what are you going to do with a baby flying tank with sun bursting eyes?
Well, they didn't think it through, did they? All they can think of is the end result. They don't think of what it's going to take to get there, and then what are the after effects of that going to be once they've got there. Like, and again, that whole fucking episode and that whole like sequence just really is like a perfect confluence of like everything, like, you know, all the issues the show's about. You know, you've got Starlight beating the fuck out of Firecracker because she's talking about the abortion stuff on TV. You know, you've got
that bitch.
No, I mean, she's a fantastic actress. She's really great. But that's a horrible character. Oh, it's the worst. But if you spend enough time on YouTube, click like and subscribe, by the way, leave a comment. If you spend enough time on YouTube, you've seen that person. You've seen those people, like, or people who are very similar to that, who are very much just like, they're just going to peddle any kind of negativity, any kind of hate, any kind of agenda, just to get themselves in the spotlight, just to make themselves feel relevant, you know, just to push whatever ideas they have, even if they do have ideas, because a lot of the time it's people with no ideas, and they're all just kind of echoing each other and just ballooning up like nothing until it becomes like something, you know what I mean? And it's just a big ball of hate and negativity.
Speaking of that, who's someone actually got, I believe, got their deserves, was Alex Jones, and he got his downfall, didn't he? So that was what.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's very much like a superhero, hot Alex Jones kind of character, isn't she?
Yeah.
And then in in the new episodes, you've got the guy who's like the Tucker Carlson type, like the Fox News type dude or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he had this whole power dynamic thing going on with Ashley, but then as soon as he felt like she didn't actually have the power, he's like, well, I've got no use for you anymore. And she's like, oh, well, is that so? Well, I'm going to fuck you over. And now you're literally just going to get eaten alive by the very thing you spent your whole life perpetuating propaganda about. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, this season is, because I thought season 3 was fine. I felt like it didn't really blow me away like the first 2 seasons did, and this season might be the best one. Yeah, if it finishes strongly. I think there was some stuff in this newest episode that was a little bit like, not filler, but it's like, did we really need the whole like super cattle thing? It was funny, but it didn't feel wholly necessary. But
I'm sorry, but when I saw that and they're flying and they're just like, yeah, I burst into fucking hysterics.
Yeah, no, it was entertaining, and the episode did need like an action beat, I guess, in there somewhere. So that did fill the void, and obviously we're folding in now the Gen V characters. Like a lot of that storyline and everything is coming more into play. Kate and Sam from that show are now in there, and the virus plot and everything, that's all coming over into the boys a lot more prominently than I thought it was going to. But I guess because the Gen V did a lot better than I think anyone thought it was going to as well.
Yeah.
So they probably felt emboldened to like lean more on that kind of stuff. Do you have, McManus, do you have any theories on what's going on with Butcher? Because he's getting strangled out by Stretchy Man last week, and then he blacks out, and then all of a sudden Stretchy Man is all over the fucking place.
He is the place. Like,
he is the place, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is going on there? Because he's having he's got the fucking poisoning, you know, he's dying from the temporary V situation. We keep seeing this little, like, he's got like this black worm thing in his head, like where he's got like a brain tumor thing going on. He also keeps speaking to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I think plays into this. That's what I'm saying. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays into this whole thing, right? Because we've never, and I get that he's meant to be like this Black Ops, like extra Black Ops, a level deeper than like Butcher and the boys are, but nobody else ever speaks to him. No, we don't see him talk to anyone else. This dude is very much, I think, like a Tyler Durden situation, because everything that he says is like, we've got to, if we can't train the boy, we've got to kill the boy. Like he's like more extreme than Butcher in every way. And I'm just thinking, is that just Butcher's brain now, where it's like, you know, where it's kind of just gone to the extremes because it knows it's only got a limited amount of time left, and it's like, it's literally like so to deal with those like extreme thoughts, he's put them into this personality or this character that he's created in his brain. I think that's what's going on. But then, is this other dude, this Jeffrey D. Morgan, is this other personality the one where it's like he's blacking out and then this other personality is taking over and killing Stretchy Man? Is it a Moon Knight situation? That's what I'm saying. Is it a Moon Knight situation where because he says that he took more V to try and cure himself, but it didn't give him powers. But everyone else, it's given them fucking powers, right? So has Butcher got a split personality, and the other personality is the one with the fucking powers, and he don't know about it?
Yeah, that's fucking cool. Yeah,
it's very Moon Knight, but I think it would work because I think they've set it up, and it's vague enough where it might not be that, but I think it's a solid theory. Yeah. And I wouldn't be mad, like, if that's what it turns out to be. It wouldn't be like, oh well, I predicted that. I think they've set it up reasonably well enough where it could be that, and it couldn't be that.
You got all you need to know at the moment. Right, I'm just going to the thingy.
Yeah, no worries. I'll set up the section. So we are going to be talking comic books on TV, which, you know, little boys discussion, just to warm you up a little bit. Like I said, we're going to come back after all 8 episodes, and we're going to give a full-on spoiler breakdown of the whole series or whole season. You know, fuck it, maybe even the whole series, because like I said, George is going to be watching. He's finished season 1. He's got his ankles wet on season 2 as we speak, so he'll be catching up. So it'll all be fresh for George, and we'll come back and do a full-on chat about that. In the meantime, you know, we're in a golden age, some might say. We've had a golden age of comic book movies in cinemas, and it sort of slowly but surely has transitioned into arguably I guess maybe a silver age, to use comic book historian terms or whatever, vernacular. So silver age of comic book stuff on TV, you know, on the silver screen. Or is that the silver screen is the big screen? So what's TV, like the bronze screen? It doesn't matter. There's been a lot of comic book stuff on TV. We're finally at a time now where the budgets and, you know, the effects and, you know, pop culture kind of zeitgeist is kind of caught up to the idea, you know, we can have like different versions of characters, or like high concept sci-fi fantasy mixed in with like day-to-day real life kind of situations, and people are ready for it. They're finally ready. The mindless mole brains across the earth have finally caught up to us more cultured creatures. You know, you can finally handle a little bit of space, a technology blaster gun, or a teleporting thing, or, you know, maybe like a high fantasy world of elves and wizards, right? It's not just for us anymore. Everyone can have it. We can all share it. You're welcome, by the way. We've opened the doors of our Games Workshop. We said, come in. See what we got on the board here. Pick up a figure. Paint it. Roll a dice. Read the rules. Don't have to follow them exactly, but you've got to know the basics. And now you're in, and we can all play together. And that's what we've been doing. All the streaming services, Netflix, HBO, you know, Amazon, you know, maybe like Paramount haven't got like any comic book stuff that I can think of. But either way, the big boys and girls and friends around the world have, okay? There's something for everyone, you know. And when we say, you know, there used to be a time when you'd say comic books and people would automatically think superheroes, Superman, Spider-Man, whatever. But now you say comic book TV show and people know, it's like, well, that could, you know, that could be horror, that could be fantasy, that could be sci-fi, it doesn't even have to be any of that. Sometimes a comic book show could just be fucking people talking to each other. Who the fuck wants to see that? It doesn't matter. I'll just say, McManus, like, you used to assume when somebody would say comic book movie or comic book show, you'd think just superheroes, but not anymore. It could be anything. We've had a wide multitude of stuff, and we're going to talk about some of it. I don't know what McManus wants to talk about. We're just going to share some of our favourites, maybe some honourable mentions. We're just keeping it casual today. I think this is worked nice so far. You know, not having a full-on rundown, a whole list, a whole fucking you know, big stack of notes with annotations and highlights. Like, I don't need it. So, with that said, McManus, what would you say is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of like comic book TV stuff? Do you go like 90s animated series of some sort, or is it something else?
Oh, that's fucking hard actually, because
I think for a lot of people our age, they're going to say X-Men, Batman, right? 90s
yeah,
animated series. But is
yeah,
that where
right.
it starts for you, or would you want to start this segment and your journey somewhere else?
As well, I'll go back to when I was younger, because every time I get off school, the first thing I'll do is as soon as I get in from school, 15 minutes later, there'll be a Dragon Ball Z episode on Cartoon Network, and it would be
What the
starting from,
dragon?
and it would be the whole. It started from the Frieza saga all the way up, and we had to wait fucking months just for like when it would end. It's like, see you next time on Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, and
Yeah,
that was
man.
like you can get all of it.
Yeah, no, I was in the same boat. I mean, it's not the first thing that I would have said, but I mean, absolutely. I mean, comic book, manga, whatever. We're friendly. We love it all here at the Pop Rose
Yeah.
Podcast. So yeah, no, I remember like every day, weekday in Toonami between like 4 and 5, you would have Dragon Ball Z, and then Gundam Wing or whatever would come on afterwards, right? And yeah, no, Dragon Ball Z was
I
life
totally
changing
forgot
for
about
me, to be
Gundam Wing
honest.
there. Yeah, I totally forgot about
Yeah, I
Gundam
don't
Wing.
love it as much. I don't know a lot of the, because that's very much like geopolitical. You know, there's a lot of like talky lore kind of stuff involved in that. And unlike in Dragon Ball Z, they don't fight while they talk all the time. They don't power up while they talk. All right.
Or you talk about
But
political fucking Attack on Titan. Now that it's political, and then
that I haven't
gruesome.
seen that. I haven't seen that. But Dragon Ball Z, man, I tell you, we'll try and
yeah. Sorry, keep on that.
we'll get to Attack on Titan. We'll cover that if you want, because I don't know shit. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z was like made me realize that you could have like comedy and melodrama and insane action and sci-fi and violence and romance, and it's just like everything is in this show. And yeah, that was absolutely, you know, I was like 11, 12 when they started showing that on the Toonami hour on Cartoon Network. So that was like forming, you know, my brain, you know, that was forming my life, my personality, you know, a very important time watching that show. I'll tell you what, I fell off of it though, because they used to make you wait ages, because they only had the they would only have the licensing for like a certain amount of episodes, and then once they hit the end, they would just keep repeating those episodes until like they got the new season or the new episodes.
Here's something you
And
like.
that was
in the dust.
Oh my god. So it got to a point where it's like, okay, so I've got to watch the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga, and the Garlic Jr. saga fucking on loop for fucking 6 months until I can get the fucking Trunks saga, right? And then we finally get the Trunks, and he says the androids are coming. I'm like, here we go, Android saga. Turns out Android saga is a separate saga from the Trunks saga. It's not all one saga. So then I had to watch the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga, the Garlic Jr. and the Trunks one. Now I had to watch those all on loop for another fucking 6 months. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, I need to like go out and like, you know, by this point I'm like 14. I'm like, you know, I want to go out and like skate and try and talk to girls now. And I kind of fell off for Dragon Ball Z until like, you know, when I got to the age where it's like, okay, now I can just go online and just like buy all these DVDs and just enjoy it at my own pace.
Yeah, got 'em.
So that's my journey for Dragon Ball. But yeah, absolutely, I would put that if we're counting that as a comic book show, manga show, same thing, whatever. Yeah, that's absolutely probably one of the most influential, I would say. And I didn't even have that on my docket to talk about it, but seeing as you brought it up, I guess it does count. But Attack on Titan, McManus, what's going on with it? Because I hear about this show so fucking. This show is like the Game of Thrones of anime, because everyone loves it, everyone talks about it, and I'm the only one who hasn't got a fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah, it's it's fucking long to explain it. You really got to watch it, and everyone who's watched it and watched the final will understand, because the final took so long to come out. But I guess that's how long it takes to fucking do a finale of the entirety of the seasons. But it was just fucking action packed and emotional at the same time. And then at the end of it, it gives you a whole. It basically goes, "Oh, you think it's finished? That's sweet," and and it just shows you another clip of what might be coming. Like, what the fuck? Yeah? And it is just pure ridiculous. And I watched the dub version, and it felt weird for me. So then I had to actually go watch the original, and it made so much more sense. That's the way it was. But I saw a clip of the people who did the dubbed voices. All of them left the studio blubbering. Like, all of them were fucking crying.
Really?
As soon as they finished their lines, they were fucking staked. Like, and then I watched the ending, and like, I fucking understand that.
What I want to know is that these big creatures, they got no skin, tendons, muscle tissue is all exposed. They're very tall. Why are we not just cutting the Achilles? Is that not what we're doing?
No,
is there a reason we can't just cut the Achilles? Because as far as I know, from what I've seen, they've got these steam-powered jetpack things going on, and they're all launching themselves up over the wall into the fucking air with no parachutes, right? And they're just fucking hitting these things like flies on a windshield. It's like, cut the Achilles are fucking exposed. They're like right there. Why are we not doing that?
On the like the Titans, the ones that change are mindless and all big headed and like, and just eat the fuck out of everyone. They can be cut up and stopped and like dismembered and stuff, but it's the bigger ones that are actually the Attack Titans, like them ones that they go after them, and there's only a certain space on them on the back of their neck. You can cut the person out that's controlling them.
Oh, and they're controlled. Like there's little people in there. Oh, spoilers! Yeah. I did not know this.
Yeah.
Is the whole show finished now?
Yeah.
Is it all out finished now?
Yeah.
So you know, like why? Because I know there's like the whole mystery of like what are they? Where do they come from? But that's all out there now. If I want to watch it or look it up, I can find out.
Yeah.
And there's little dudes in there. Well, it's like a Men in Black situation where there's little alien in there. And it's like, to prevent war, the galaxy is on a lion's belt. I don't know why I gave him an accent.
No, they try it, like, it's weird. It's so fucking weird. They get these, I'm not sure if it's guns, but they managed to get the Titans' DNA of the ones passed down, and they like inject themselves because they want this fucking power, and they think they're doing right by taking these people out when they think like the rest of the world thinks they're all monsters, and they're like, we're not monsters, we just want off this island. No, you're fucking monsters. Why are you acting like cunts for? Look, you're clearly monsters. And they're like, no, you're the monsters. They're like, oh fucking, it just leads
to play that card. Yeah.
So the main guy in it just at the end goes, fuck it, I've had enough. How about kill you all? It's just like, and then it's like your friends try and stop you, and then blah, blah, blah. You need to watch it. It's complicated.
I might give it a go. How many seasons? It's 3 seasons, right? 2 or 3 seasons.
I think it's 4.
It's not a One Piece where if I start watching it now, I might live to see the end of it. Like,
it's 98
because I'm not ready for that.
98 episodes, 4 seasons.
Okay, that's not bad. So that's like 10% of One Piece. So I could probably manage that in the next year. Yeah. Maybe I'll give it a go.
25 episodes a piece, I think.
Okay, so 100 episodes. That's doable.
Oh, season 4's got 30 episodes.
All right, 110 episodes, whatever. Maybe I'll do it, but backing it all the way back up to when we were born. Not a lot of comic book stuff on TV. You were lucky if you could catch 1 episode of Spider-Man, 1 episode of Batman, and 1 episode of X-Men in a week. Where do you stand on those, McManus? Were you into those at that time, or was it not your bag? Was you like a Ninja Turtles guy?
I was a Ninja Turtles guy. Like, if you weren't a Ninja Turtle guy as a kid, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
I suppose that's another valid entry for, that was based on a comic as well. I didn't even think of it really in that way. But yeah, X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man, you're loving all that shit, right? Assuming you're the same age as me, so you're loving it, right? You must be.
Batman animated show all the fucking way, sir.
Yeah.
Fucking obsessed with it. Got it on Blu-ray, like, and just I pop it on when, like, I get ultra bored. That's what I watch.
Yeah. So
and ultra bored, and then I put on Nolan.
so being like mainly a Marvel kid and adult, even as far as like what characters I'm into go, I always used to get kind of like defensive. Everyone's like, Batman the animated series is the peak definitive superhero kids cartoon of the night. I'm like, but what about the X-Men and the Spider-Man? Like, it's not that good. And then as an adult revisiting some of these, Batman is absolutely, like, it is so much vastly superior to the others, and I love the others, but rewatching X-Men, Spider-Man, and Batman specifically, it is in a totally different league. With the way that it's drawn on like the black backgrounds, and like it's got that film noir, element. It takes, it's springboarding off of what Tim Burton did as well. So it's very stylistic, compared to Spider-Man and X-Men, which were very much like more riding off that like Super Friends kind of style.
Like, one thing for Batman, like, if they're ever going to bring out another Batman, will be. But I want to see a Batman movie like this, or with, how the background of this animated show is.
Yeah.
Like I want to see that in the background.
Yeah, I want the Sin City. I want the Sin City version of a Batman for sure. There's a new Batman animated series in the
background, because I know what Glasgow looks like.
There is a new Batman animated series coming out, which is they're kind of billing it up as like Caped Crusader, which they're kind of billing it as like the spiritual successor to the animated series. And from what I've seen from the trailer, it looks fairly consistent with that, a little bit more adult. So hopefully that is very much to this show what X-Men 97 was to the X-Men animated series. And like I said, revisiting these, like, X-Men is very like Saturday morning, it's very, clearly kid friendly, as opposed to Batman, which felt like, this was just a TV show that just happened to be animated, I think Spider-Man, the animated series, I think on a good day, it was close to Batman, and on a bad day, it was, just another kid show. It had some really good episodes, but it had some really like
the Mary
naff
Jane
ones.
storyline where she's a clone. And it's
Yeah,
what
like
happened to her?
yeah,
What?
it got a little bit silly, but then every now and then they would have like the Michael Morbius episode, or they would do the Black Suit Saga, or and they would get a little
The
bit more
Morbius episode.
hardcore.
The Morbius episode
That
it's got to
fucked
be
me
one
up
of
as
my
a kid.
favorite. Yeah,
Fucked
totally.
me
Yeah,
up.
I
Like
bust that
this whole
blood
body
mark.
horror, like David Cronenberg, like The
And he just
Fly
touches someone
meets
and he sucks the
Nosferatu.
fucking life out of them. Like,
Yeah, man, that shit was
what the
scary.
fuck?
The stuff with the Vulture, where you could like suck the life force and make you old. Do you remember that stuff?
Yes.
So yeah, Spider-Man. It did have peaks that could almost rival Batman, but a
Yeah, I
lot
get
of
that.
not all of it got close to that. Did you ever see Did you ever see the Silver Surfer show? Only went for one season.
No, I believe I've seen it on Disney though.
It is on there. Absolutely worth a watch.
See
it. That came out later 90s, and they
Okay.
started to dabble with like CGI, like 3D backgrounds and stuff.
Oh, right.
And
yeah, okay, yeah.
but it was still like 2D, it's still the same kind of thing, but you can very much see like the progression between something like, it's very much like that middle point where you can see like where you went from the 90s into like the 2000s era of everything kind of being fully rendered digitally and whatnot, as opposed to obviously like the Batman anime series, which was very, crafted around being hand drawn and, like I say, using the whole black backgrounds and the red inks and all of that kind of stuff. But Silver Surfer, man, is really good. It's one season. It's pretty much one full storyline. You've got Thanos is in there, and this was before Thanos was on everyone's, bedroom wall or whatever.
Yeah, when Thanos would pop up, you're like, oh, shit's gonna get real.
Yeah, like
Thanos.
If you haven't seen that Silver Surfer show, absolutely. I think it's like maybe it's like 18 episodes. It might even be 12. It's not long, but it is absolutely top quality stuff. But then we get into the like I say, we get out of the 90s era. We're getting into the 2000s. X-Men movies hit. They hit big, and we kind of get a little bit of a. Yeah, because I think towards the end of the 90s and into the early 2000s, I think the superhero stuff wasn't really hitting so much anymore. It was very much like Dragon Ball Z and that kind of stuff, it was kind of veering more that way.
Well, yeah,
but then
you're 99, you got X-Men and you got fucking Blade movies. Were they 98?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Blade is 98 and 99, and then X-Men 1 was 2000.
And for everyone who's I know.
Or 2001.
Wesley Snipes was apparently a nightmare on the set of Blade 3, but I fucking loved that movie. But I had no idea about the CGI eye effect.
I never noticed that at the time. Yeah, it's only when people pointed it out and I went back and looked at it. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty ridiculous now. And it's literally because Wesley Snipes was arguing with the director and he refused to open his eyes. It's like, what are we doing? How are these fucking petty children being put in charge of like $100 million movie? It's ridiculous.
And do you see, speaking of Ryan Reynolds, because he's in the third one, do you see how fucking jacked he is in that fucking movie?
Mate, you could play a fucking karimba tune on his fucking abs. It is insanity. It doesn't look real.
What did he do?
It doesn't look real.
It's he's covered in fucking baby oil.
He wasn't even known as like an action dude at that point. So it's like, it wasn't like he had to be in this shape because he had like a big action movie before this and another big action movie after this. So they were just they must have just called him up like, Van Wilder, we want you to be in a Blade movie. And he just took that and okay, if I'm going to do an action movie, I'm doing an action movie. And he must have just
Have you heard?
just
Have you heard of
went
the latest
mad
theory
on it.
Of how Wade Wilson is a pseudonym, not the fucking serial killer who's going to burn in hell? I mean,
Go on.
Wade Wilson. Yeah, apparently, because he went through college so many years, and he actually finally got where he wanted, and then he just like the main thing when he left high school, he's just like, well, no one wants me, so fuck it, I'm gonna go around the world trying to kill people. And
Fair
Wade
enough.
Wilson is a pseudonym, and then like because he's just the same fucking person, isn't he?
Yeah, that works. You know what I found out recently that blew my mind? You know the film Van Wilder is based on comedian Bert Kreischer. That's literally Van Wilder is based on his life.
Yeah, didn't he sue him because like
why?
I told you, or you had the script, or like
I mean, fair enough, it's his life.
And this guy went off and made the fucking movie. Like, or
I mean, fair enough. Like, on one hand, be annoyed that they stole like what you told them and made a movie out of it, but on the other hand, that's your fucking life. Of course, somebody's going to make a movie about that if you tell them. If you're doing that shit on a Tuesday, like, yes, of course. If I'm going to fucking write a thing about you, don't tell me that you fucking got up to all this fucking ridiculous shenanigans and then not expect me to not do anything with that. Like,
you know, one thing about that movie that makes me feel really bad. I feel really bad for that bulldog and its massive fucking balls.
Mate, like
just in the hot tub, and it's just like he's just lay there. Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Oh God!
Yeah, no, you could absolutely go back and watch that movie now, knowing that it's Bert Kreischer, and you could be like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Absolutely, I can see that. But rewinding a little bit though, did you watch? Because we talk about Blade. Did you watch the Blade show?
Oh,
they did the live action Blade show. After Blade Trinity came out, they did one season with rapper Sticky Fingers. Fingers.
And
but
apparently, spoilers. He's going to be in Deadpool.
I've heard the rumors. I don't know if I buy them. But also, by the way, I think Sticky Fingers is actually dead. So I think
it's no.
Don't misquote me on
the
that.
guy from the guy who I think it's the guy from Dexter who goes, "Surprise, motherfucker!" Like,
oh yeah, surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah. I think it's him just standing in the background with the Blade get up, and for everyone just to think.
I mean, look, can't a guy just be black and wear a trench coat without people assuming that he's Blade anymore?
Fuck no.
Like, can't a guy just walk around with sunshades, a tribal tattoo on his neck, and some silver stakes and a fucking belt thing wrapped around his chest? What do they call that? A bandolier. A bandolier of fucking silver stakes.
Ammo.
Can't a dude just walk around with a UV cannon in his fucking trousers without people assuming that he's Blade? In this day and age, all right, just because he's black with tribal tattoos, sunglasses, a trench coat, and a bandolier full of silver stakes and a UV light doesn't mean he's Blade. All right, that's fucking ignorant.
No, unless you're a fucking cosplayer.
I haven't seen it. I don't know if he has all those other things, by the way.
Unless you're a fucking cosplayer, don't walk around like a stereotype, because you're going to be picked out for a stereotype. So
because he's black, he can't wear black. Like,
no,
what?
Don't wear a black trench coat, and definitely don't go around with a massive fucking silver sword.
Not in this fucking weather, I tell you. Absolutely don't do it. But I tell you what, though, that series, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was one of those things where I think people just shit on it because it wasn't Wesley Snipes, and back then it was still in the time. It was still in the time where it was still in the time where going from being a movie to being a TV show was considered like a downfall. You know, it was a demotion, and I think having that on it, and also going from being Wesley Snipes to not being Wesley Snipes, I think people all just viewed it as just a lesser version of Blade. But it carries on the storyline. It keeps the continuity, and it's him taking down all the other the remaining houses, you know, because there's like the 12 houses of vampires or whatever, and I think each movie deals with like one of them. So I think the series is just him like taking down like the other 9 vampire houses or whatever. It's pretty good for a TV show of like from like 2005. It's pretty good. I used to have the box set. I think it ran for like 12 or 16 episodes. You know, maybe 18, round about there somewhere. And it was fine. It was absolutely fine.
There's nothing of it on IMDb. It's like it doesn't exist.
Wow. But we weren't getting... I mean, back then you had 2 choices. You either watched the Blade series...
Oh, New Line Cinema, hey?
Yeah, see, they produced the movies. They know what they're talking about.
Spike TV.
Oh, right, Spike TV, that's a different story. But, I mean, back in 2005, you had 2 options. You either watch Blade or you watch Mutant X. Did you ever watch Mutant X? You ever heard of that shit?
Oh, because I think I watched some episodes because it had the Lex Luthor of Batman and Lois in it, I believe. And
Clark and Lois, you mean? Yeah.
Clark and Lois. Yeah.
See, I never watched it because I always assumed.
Fucking hell.
I never watched it because I always assumed, it's just some fucking random sci-fi TV channel doing a rip-off of the X-Men. Just like, I don't want nothing to do with this. Turns out it was a rip-off of the X-Men, but it was actually made by Marvel. I had no fucking idea about this until recently. So Marvel made this TV show because they didn't have the rights to the X-Men and they wanted to do something. So it was an X-Men ripoff, but it was an X-Men ripoff by the company that fucking made X-Men because they didn't have the rights to their own fucking thing. To the point where Fox tried to sue Marvel for stealing stuff from their characters. It's like, well, hang on, these are technically Marvel characters, but because you own the rights to them, you can sue Marvel for trying to fucking rip their own shit back off of you.
How the fuck does that work?
It's crazy. The world we live in, right, of fucking legalities and fucking lawlessness is crazy. But I never watched this show. Bad sci-fi. The effects, you go and watch a trailer for this, watch the clips from this. It is some of the, you know, it's just the worst like CGI lightning and ice effects that you've ever seen in your life. It's like CGI, this makes Buffy look like Avatar.
Did you manage to catch the original Roswell?
I never saw that.
Right.
Never saw it.
Right. Do you remember Guardians, when they're taking Star-Lord away for the first time? And it's like, oh, it's Star Prince. And it's like, Star-Lord, man. And like, you know, the other guy on the other side of him who's got the contacts in, pulls him in. He's a main character of fucking Roswell. And every time I bring it up to someone, do you remember the time I've seen, like, bring it up to someone, like, not seen it. What's Roswell? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, but it's a fucking teen alien drama thing. Yeah. It was trying to compete with fucking Smallville, and like everyone loved it at the same time. Like the sheriff in Roswell is the bad guy from fucking Die Hard 2.
So, yeah. Did you watch Smallville? Was you a Smallville fan?
Oh, I binged all of it, mate.
Mate.
I bought all of Smallville after I binged it because I was a dirty pirate, and still am. Dirty pirate, and I didn't have enough money to like buy all of it on DVD. So I was just at the beginning, I was just like, right, this is worth it. So I watched all of it, and now I've got it because Blockbuster existed when this was going. Blockbuster was around the corner, and so I would go around there, rent season by season. It's like, how are you doing with Smallville? Like, I fucking like this. Got to the end.
Yeah.
Fucking disappointed.
Nah, man. This was a tough thing because back in these days, a season of a TV show would be 23 episodes long. If you couldn't catch it on TV when it came on, and in my house, like I had to fight between my dad watching like football and my mum watching soaps. Like I had very limited access to a TV, so you could only catch like odd episodes or something here and there. And then the only other option was to buy a whole fucking series of fucking VHS or DVDs or whatever, which I didn't have a lot of money, couldn't afford to do that either. So a lot of these shows from this era I didn't really catch. I saw a few episodes of Smallville, really liked it, but there was just no way, because of what I just said, like there was just no way I was ever going to be able to watch all of it. And it ran for like 10 seasons. I had a couple of friends who were like into it and like went out of their way and watched the whole thing. I guess you were one of those. But I only watched the first, like, I saw chunks from like the first like 3 or 4 seasons maybe. And then later on, when they started doing like Darkseid and Doomsday and all this other stuff, I was like, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was like about, I must have started watching it halfway through or near the end.
Yeah.
Because like there was so much to fucking watch. And
yeah,
it was something, to me it was like something to watch. But yeah, I got into it, and turns out you know the guy who you know the guy who plays Lex Luthor in Smallville,
Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah,
he's got
he's got a really successful podcast.
Yes, and I watch it, and fucking hell, it's so informative. Like the guys, like,
he's had loads of really great people on there. Yeah,
he seems to get on with everyone who's on his podcast. Like,
yeah,
like he asks different, like, it's not difficult questions, but it goes on a tangent with his questions. But they're like,
it's not just like it's not just cut and paste bullshit. Yeah,
no, it's like, wow, what a fucking good question. Like,
yeah, no, I haven't watched loads of his stuff, but like, yeah, he seems like a really good interviewer, and he's really got quite a good thing going on with that show. But Smallville was like, that was like all we had for a little while. I think between the early 2000s and then until you got into like the later boom, Smallville was basically it. And then, you know, through most of the 2000s until I guess Walking Dead. Like, it's crazy when you think about that, right? It's like you went Blade, that nobody watched, then you had Smallville, which was pretty popular, and then you get into 2008 or 2009, I think Walking Dead hits, and this changes the game, I think, for numerous reasons.
2010.
Yeah, there you go. Like, this changed the game because not only did you have, this is based on a comic book, it's not a superhero thing, and it's very fucking serious. It's very like drama oriented, at least for the some people would argue it started out that way and went off the rails. I mean maybe a little bit, but I'll get into my thoughts on it in a minute. Frank Darabont wrote and produced and showran the first season. You know, that's no fucking slouch. You know, this is the man who did the fucking Shawshank Redemption, for fuck's sake. And yeah, so you were coming off, I think, like, I mean, even just like, not even just for like comic books on TV, I mean, just for TV in general, like, this is, I think Game of Thrones is only just starting up around this point. Breaking Bad is around this time. You know, not since sort of like The Sopranos or like The Wire, you hadn't really had anything that was like, you know, wasn't just like soapy, light-hearted bullshit. You know, and I think this is sort of the first wave of like the TV renaissance. You know, we sort of led into like streaming, and you know, and now there's like a million shows that are kind of like trying to do what this is doing, you know. But what was your experience with The Walking Dead? Did you start watching it and then just carry on watching it, or did you come into it later? Or
I came in 3 seasons late, basically. Didn't start from the beginning. Got told to watch it. Was in fucking relationship at the time, and it was her best mate, who's kind of one of my best mates now. he came in, he's like, "You watched Walking Dead yet?" I'm like, "What? Walking Dead, catch it? Like, it's on Fox. Like,
yeah,
you got Sky." It's like, "Yeah, it's on every Tuesday. You should fucking watch it. You love it." I'm like, what's it about? Killing zombies. What the fuck is not to love? And I'm like, okay. Oh, also, it's got the bloke from Teachers. I was like, that fucking nails it down, doesn't it? How many blokes are in Teachers? But
yeah, because I remember when this sort of came out, I was like, oh, well, we a little bit. This is a little bit late for like the zombie, because it was a few years before this. You had because you had 28 days.
Everything.
Yeah, you had 28 days later came out, like 2003. Then 2004 or 5, you've got Shaun of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then like a whole spate of like zombie stuff kind of came out pretty hard and pretty fast. And then
like
just as it was sort of dying,
zombie shit.
but I think just as sort of like the good ones had kind of passed and like the hype had died down, and by the time this came out, we'd just been getting like Night of the Dead, like, you know, they started doing all like the sort of pretty generic spin-offs from Dawn of the Dead, so like Day of the Dead, Dusk of the Dead, whatever, fucking
again,
Afternoon Tea of the Dead,
motherfucker.
Yeah, so it was like zombies are kind of like seemed like it was kind of on the down slant at this point, and then this comes out, and I got into it because a friend of mine was like obsessed with the comics. He had the first like 15 volumes, and he said, "Hey, do you want to borrow these?" And it's like, "Yeah, okay." So he brought around like 3, and then I read them like in one night, and then I was like, next time I saw him like a week later, it's like, "Oh, can I borrow like some more?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he brought on like 3 or 4, and then like literally finished those. The next day I'm ringing him like, "Dude, do you want to hang out?" He's like, "You just want to read more Walking Dead, don't you?" I was like, "Well, I want to hang out as well." Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. So the third day he comes round, and he's got like this big old fucking duffel bag, and he goes, "I know you're just going to ask for all of them. There you go." He just dumps on me like the first 5th, like, so, well, by this point it's like 9 volumes of Walking Dead in a big old bag, just slams them down, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, I've got the TV show just came out. I've got it on Blu-ray," which was a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, absolutely. So we watched the first season of Walking Dead, which was only 6 episodes, I think, or 8 maybe.
The first time I watched the first season, I got drunk as fuck. Literally, it not as bad, not a bad time. Like, it was just this is really good. We're gonna drink. We're gonna watch this. Every time something fucked up happens, we drink more. Like,
that's fair. Okay. So I read the first like chunk of these books and watched the first season, sort of concurrently, and then after the first season, I didn't see this guy again for like years, and I didn't have Fox or whatever, so I wasn't following like the TV show. And I was like, "Oh, I'll catch up to it. I'll catch up to it." Then it's like season 3, season 4, season 5. I'm seeing all the spoilers all over the internet. Glenn's died, whatever, this, that, the other. And eventually, I was just like, okay, I'm just never watching The Walking Dead. Like, I've heard too much. It's been too long. I fucked it. But then we get into a little era where a lot of people are spending a lot of time at home. And I watched a few seasons then, and then I moved up here where I live now. Not doxing myself, for all the people that are not watching, but whatever, right? So then I moved up here, and then I was just like living by myself, had a whole lot of time to kill. And I was like, oh, Walking Dead's pretty much finished now. I was like, I'm just going to fucking watch all of it. So then I fucking, within about a month, maybe 2 months, every day I was watching like 3 or 4 episodes of The Walking Dead. I did like, yeah, it must have been like 5 or 6 seasons within a couple of months. And I thought it had already finished. Turns out I've watched what I thought was the last one, and it turned out that was this penultimate episode. It's like, oh fuck, the finale is out next week. And after missing the whole thing and giving up on the show, I eventually caught back up just in time to watch the finale at the same time everyone else did.
And nice.
Wow, completely unintentional. And I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people say, oh, after seasons like 4 or 5 or whatever, or after Negan, it kind of goes downhill. I think the show's, I think it's fairly consistent throughout. I do think the last season leaves a little bit more to, you know, to be desired or whatever. But it was fine.
When it gets later on, people are just like, oh, fuck. How long is this gonna go on for?
Yeah, no, I could imagine it was a bit of a slog.
Comment, like,
yeah, I imagine it was a bit of a slog at certain points if you were waiting week to week. But because I just got to binge it, I'm like, yeah, this is all fine. It's all pretty good, you know. It does, you know, the last few seasons are not as good, but that's the same with every show. It's still fine, you know. The last few seasons, Walking Dead is better than most seasons of any other show, so I think it was fine. Eugene can go fuck himself, but other than that, it was pretty good. I really liked Abraham. I think it was Abraham, the big red-headed dude. Yeah, he was cool.
It deviated from me.
Oh wow, it deviated enough from the show, from the book. And I still haven't read all of the books, but I've read a bunch of them. You know, it followed, but it took left and turns and right turns every now and then, just enough to keep you like, in the same way that I think like Game of Thrones did from the books, you know, where it's like, it basically followed the same thing, but sometimes this person died instead of this person, but it was generally the same.
Motherfucker, you need to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I think unlike Walking Dead, I think that's one that I probably won't catch up on or ever get to watching. But anyway, Walking Dead.
I do prefer the new series over the actual 8 that we watched, because it's a prequel, and that's one of my favorite books. But
yeah. I was talking about spin-offs as well. I did start watching Fear the Walking Dead, which I thought we started off a little bit wonky, but it gets good. Fear the Walking Dead gets good. I haven't finished it yet, and now there's like 5 other spin-off shows that I haven't watched yet. So I will eventually
make a whole universe out of it.
Because now there's the Negan show, there's the Rick show, there's a show about some teenagers, which isn't Beware the Walking Dead or whatever.
Yeah,
is that right? Whatever. Anyway, I'll catch up on all of those, but then we get into this new age. Go on.
Sorry, just to speak about Negan. I was on TikTok just before I came on, and literally he was they're filming something. He's in his leather get up, walking down the street and that. And this kid, his mum, this kid walks up to him, and his mum is like, "Oh, he's got a pet rock. Do you mind if you sign his pet rock?" And he's, "A pet rock? Yeah." And he's like, "That is amazing." Like, yeah, like, let me see that rock. And it's like, "That is a good rock, kid. Nice one." And then he signs it for him and just gives him back his Sharpie and just walks off. It's like, that kid's got a pet rock.
Oh, he absolutely he nails that character. Jeffrey D. Morgan, like, he fits that character like like perfectly. There's nothing else for it, you know. Like there's nobody else who could do that role, and there's no other character that would be better for him. Like it's just such a perfect fit. Like you can tell he's having such a great time. You know, he's always doing his fun little social media posts. You know. And he had a really good arc as well, you know, from like being hated to like being redeemable. His backstory was really well executed, really heartbreaking with the wife and the medication and stuff. He's like, okay, I can understand how this dude kind of got this way. And if we would have followed him from his point of view, the other guys would have been the bad guys, you know. So I thought that was good.
Yeah. Like, but I've got to say, like for the Negan episode, when he just takes the barbed wire while the house is burning down, like I was an emotional fucking mess at the end of that. It was like, oh, you poor bastard.
Oh, and I'm glad Carl died. Moving on. He was getting a bit too cocky for his own fucking good. Anyway,
Carl.
Yeah, he went from being like a creepy little messed up serial killer kid, then he actually started getting quite good at being like a zombie. But then I think he was acting like he was one of the boys. It's like, chill out, Carl. Well, you're still like 10. Fuck off.
He did get shot point blank in the fucking face.
Oh yeah, Anyway, that was dumb. Even in the book, that was dumb.
Right. I'll be back in a sec. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So after The Walking Dead, or not even, well, during The Walking Dead, should I say, we hit a whole space. This is during 2010 to like now, where the superhero movies are popping off left, right, and center. The market is right. Everyone's loving it. Can't get enough. Let's pump out this shit. So we got CW, whole universe coming out of CW. Some might say it's like melodramatic, soapy, tween bullshit, and they're right. But there was some good stuff in there, I think. I didn't really watch a lot of it. And then meanwhile, on the other side of the fence, you've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, most people would say, oh, DC's killing it, man. The Arrow is so edgy. The Flash is so cool. Like all these TV shows are. Supergirl even was like a big hit, was doing really well. A lot of really fun stuff. But I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was fine, everybody. There you go. I've said it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is good. It's the X-Files in the Marvel Universe. What are you moaning about? Oh, because Iron Man doesn't show up every fucking other week. No, because if he did, you'd be saying that they only relied on Iron Man showing up every other fucking week. That's fine. I'll give you that it was a bit of a slow start. The first few episodes, probably not the first few episodes you would want to kick off your what was supposed to be like your flagship show of your Marvel Cinematic Universe. It ended up being the case of this show isn't now canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's fine, and it should be or could be, especially now in the world of the multiverse. Fucking even I'm canon to the MCU at this point. You know what I mean? I've got to be in one of the fucking alternate universes somewhere. You do that Men in Black thing where you zoom in, like the Google Maps, and you keep going in and in and into the Marvel Universe, and eventually it's just me sitting here doing this show, talking to you. Do you think what do you think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Do you like the CW shows? Did you like The Walking Dead? Did it jump the shark for you? Any other comic book shows that you're into? Anything you think like surpassed your expectations? Anything that disappointed? Like Preacher, Swamp Thing, Jupiter Ascending. There's so much that we could talk about, and we're not gonna, because I've got a hard out. McManus doesn't know that yet, but we are wrapping up soon. I'll just say, McManus, that we had the CW shows. A lot of that, some people would say a really successful universe. And then on the other side of the coin, we had Agents of Shield, and a lot of people say, "Oh well, Marvel's killing it with the movies." 2010s. DC
I like
not
the
so
Shield.
much, but people thought that maybe DC were doing really well with the TV shows, and that Marvel were kind of lacking in that aspect. I think Agents of Shield was really good. I think it's like the X-Files in the Marvel universe, and it's absolutely fine. It's not dark and gritty and edgy, but it's not like super tweeny and soapy like the CW stuff. I thought it was just a solid fucking adult oriented Marvel show. I think it was fine. I think the only reason people moaned about it is because it was a little bit slow starting, and people were expecting to see fucking Hulk and Iron Man every other episode, and that's not what the show was about.
No,
and if it was about that, people would have moaned about that as well. So what the fuck do you want?
Same universe, and it was clearing, and basically all they did was clear up after the Avengers movies, and then
once you get to that mid-season finale of where it really tied in of the first season to the Winter Soldier and all of that stuff, and then that really gave them room to
when they crack the sequence and it shows up on their screen like, we are Hydra.
And then
that fucking woke me up. That was got to be one of my favorite episodes of that series by fucking far.
Yeah, and I think the reason the show was a bit slow starting, because I think they very much had to pace themselves to coincide with that, which is obviously, pros and cons of being, or at least at the time, trying to be part of a cinematic universe or whatever. But I think all of the characters were really well established, and I think by the time you got to that part of the show, and it used the context of the movies and that universe to push the characters into fun, different directions and stuff, I think it only got better and better and better from that point on.
Yeah. I totally forgot about this, but doesn't Bill Paxton turn up?
Bill Paxton, spoiler alert, is the main villain from season 1.
There we go.
You get into season 2. Season 2 with the Inhumans. They not the main level Inhumans, but they do a lot of Inhuman stuff. They did Ghost Rider. They did virtual fucking android fucking reality matrix stuff. They done time travel. They done space adventure. It's very much like a Firefly kind of vibe to it in season 6, I think. It's all in space and there's time travel.
After that, didn't it?
It went crazy, but I think
after the Obelix, it just went.
But I think it grew into those things, I think, at a reasonable pace. Again, it's a Marvel show. It's kind of family friendly, but it's good.
I think it was season 5. He's like, Kree, where the fucking Kree here?
That's what I mean, and I think it's a shame that. I think it's a shame that they kind of distanced away from it as well. But I get that, for continuity purposes, you kind of had to, especially with all the time travel and space travel they were doing in that show. It wouldn't have worked in the MCU. I still hear rumors that maybe some of those characters might turn up again in other things down the line. Probably, if it was going to be somebody, it would be Daisy, right? Who was sort of the main lead of that show, and the journey and the mystery of that character was pretty, it played a long game, but it does pay off, and she's a fucking, when you get to season 6 and she's like a world ending fucking badass, is it all does really come together. And it's not as mature as Daredevil, but it's a good show. Show.
What do you think of the character America Chavez?
I thought America Chavez was pretty fun. She's not stand out in your brain zingy fucking personality, but she's a fucking kid. She's been in one movie and she is sort of the MacGuffin of the movie, so she doesn't have loads of room to play. But I thought the moments that she got to play, with losing her parents through the portal, and that scene,
that power scares them.
It's fucking terrifying. If you can't control that, can you imagine you lose your place in the multiverse and you can't fucking get back to the one that you were fucking like, you're fucked, mate. Like, and you've just got to keep cycling through them until you find one that's like bearable. You know, that's scary. But I thought that what she had to work with, I thought she was really good. I really like the scene where she's eating pizza in the diner and stuff. We did even talk about Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That is a fucking quality. Talk about like heir to the throne of the fucking Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
Like this show
when I found out
is
on Disney,
quality.
It's one of the first shows I watched when it all came
Man,
out on Disney.
give us season 3 of this fucking show, because they cancelled this and replaced it with a more movie styled Avengers show, and it's garbage. Fucking garbage. Give me this show.
Is this the show, or is it the other one where they battle Thanos in space, and then they just totally fucking ream him, and then he lands in front of Thor, and Thor's got the hammer, and he just goes, boop, and he just drops on Thanos' fucking head. Just,
that's in the other one. They didn't get to Thanos in this show. If this show done every other storyline, it got cut short before it got to do Thanos. This done like Red Skull and, like Red Hulk and the Kree, Kang, fucking Hydra, done everything.
I remember
this
the Kang
show
episode, because
quality.
He just turns up and says, I've come to wipe you out because you fuck up my universe.
Absolutely quality. If you haven't seen Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it's the best Avengers animated series by far, because either way you've got the one after this, which is where there's like the desaturated one with no personality that try to like be more like the movies, or you've got the 90s one which tried to capitalize on the 90s animated superhero hype. But the problem was that Iron Man had a 90s show, Captain America had a 90s show, Thor and Hulk all had their own 90s show. So they did an Avengers show in the 90s, and they weren't allowed to use any of the main Avengers. So the lineup in that show, and this is on Disney Plus, but you get everyone's favorite Avengers. You get the Wasp, you get Ant-Man, you get Scarlet Witch, you get Vision, and I think you get Wonder Man. And I think that's pretty much it. It's and maybe like Tigra is in it for some reason. It's not good, absolutely not good. And then the CW stuff, we've talked about this a little bit. You're not big on the CW stuff apart from the Flash, right? You like the Flash, but the rest of it can all suck it.
I totally was, right? I was oblivious or ignorant to, like, the agenda, or it got to, how I had no idea what the CW was. Like, it was all fucking lovey-dovey bullshit. And then until someone came and fucking explained what the CW does, and in their shows, and it's like, look, they've all got a reason, or why, like, it's good, like, you need to be a good person, or why your family should be with you, or why you should do better for your family. It had, at every end of the fucking show, it had one of them fucking reasons to end the fucking show, or to defeat the person. And then someone came along and like explained that, and it was like, you just fucking ruined this entire franchise for me. Thanks.
I didn't watch most of it. I watched a few seasons of The Flash. I watched a little bit of Legends of Tomorrow, and the odd episode of like Black Lightning and Supergirl. Not really my vibe. Like you say, it's very much like the daytime soap opera version of a superhero show. However, I think it was, and it's not for everyone, but I do think you got to owe a lot to it, because I think it did bring a lot of new people in, and I think it did it
did a lot to help them with more,
especially DC, who have a lot of like characters that nobody knows or gives a shit about. But I think it did a very good job of like bringing like a lot of like wackier, like I said at the beginning, like wackier sci-fi fantasy elements. It kind of brought a lot of that stuff into TV. in like a superhero context, you know, a lot of that stuff that you would like parody in like a daytime soap up, you know, where like somebody's got like an evil twin brother, or, you know, like your ex-wife that you thought was dead and now she's back from the dead and you're married, and, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff. But again, you know, with a cosmic, you know, supernatural science fiction kind of twist to it. So I think just kind of, yeah, for what it did for like bringing fantastical elements sort of more into like the zeitgeist of the common people, as it were, like I think you can't take away that stuff. But yeah, not really for me. What else? Who else have we got on there? Superman and Lois I haven't watched, but I hear nothing but great things about that show.
It's good.
Batwoman I thought looked good, but I didn't watch it, and then they changed the actress and then
I'm
cancelled
not
it.
seeing it.
I don't know what happened there. Legends of Tomorrow, what I saw of it, I think I saw most of the first season. It was basically Doctor Who.
The first 4, yeah.
It's Doctor Who with superheroes in the same way that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with X-Files with superheroes. I thought it was fine.
It was good for the first 4 seasons, then it just went fucking everywhere like they did.
Yeah.
They went 20 places all at once in every fucking different timeline. There is a timeline where you see Death trying to, like, literally was on fucking Eobard's ass, and Eobard was just like, why not? He's after you.
I mean, Eobard was the actor who played him. Is it Tom Cavanagh? Or depending on which version or which point in the Flash you are, depends on which actor you get.
Both versions.
I thought some of that stuff was fine, but it did get a little bit silly of like, well, who's behind Speedster number 4? Like, and it's like, oh, this time it's Barry from the future. This time it's your second cousin,
I wasn't
stepbrother from the future.
I wasn't caught up with the whole Speedster thing, like when I was watching the Flash. So, like, when Zoom turned up, it was like I had no idea that he's a representation of, you know, well, Zoom is Flash, like Professor Zoom. But the show decided to let's just rip this character apart and make a fucking character out the character that exists, but they won't fucking know it. But
it kind of got a bit. Yeah, Flash got a bit wrapped up his own arsehole, I think, by the end of it. I think Arrow unfortunately peaked quite early. I think when Arrow like season 2 was out, everyone was like, "This is dark, gritty." It was sort of like Daredevil before Daredevil, right? Everyone was like, "This is the shit, man." And then by the time you got to like season 3 or 4 of Arrow, I think it really lost the momentum, and it was only like the hardcore fans watching it. But for a little period there, Arrow was like the show to be watching, you know.
It does the whole storyline how Slade Wilson gets the fucking arrow in the face.
Yeah, and how many times can you put a pole on the ladder, and how many times can you climb up the ladder? You know that thing that he did every episode where he had to like monkey bar up the ladder or whatever,
and that became a whole fucking challenge thing. Like,
yeah, man. There's a whole section of Jim Bro forums online dedicated to that shit.
I remember when Arrow was on, and he had a whole fucking feud with Cody Rhodes. I think, like, it was Arrow versus Stardust, and it was like it was him in the crowd, and it's like, oh, you think you're a superhero? I'm the real superhero here. And Stardust does his fucking whoop, and like secretly Cody Rhodes is dying on the inside as a person, and he's just like, I do like this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I didn't like I say, I did first few seasons of Flash. I watched sporadic episodes of all the other stuff, and again, it has its place in the history. Like I say, Arrow was kind of Daredevil before we had Daredevil. I think all of the Netflix stuff is pretty good. I liked Luke Cage season 1 and 2. Jessica Jones had a really great season 1, and the other 2 not so much. Daredevil was pretty consistent. And I thought Iron Fist was getting better as it went along, which isn't saying much, but it was getting better. I even like the actor. I just think they didn't give him anything to do.
Yeah, right.
And his chemistry with
the Iron Fist, he should have been a lot fucking stronger than he was.
Oh yeah, he had to charge it up every fucking 8 episodes. You could only do it like once a season or something, and he was pretty much just getting pwned.
Comic book Iron Fist uses that as a pimp hand. Like,
oh, he's so good, man.
He was slapped the living fuck out of anyone, and they had to get all 4 or 5 of them just to take down like the hand. Like, he could have bust through the fucking whole complex, like, and just fuck everyone up. But
yeah, I've got the Ed Brubaker Iron Fist, Immortal Iron Fist run, and they take a couple of vague elements from it in the show, but literally if you read that run, it's 12 issues, the whole run. Like, that's literally 2 seasons. Like, you could have adapted it pretty much word for word, and that would have been incredible. You know, it covers the origin in flashbacks. It's got the corporate stuff, the hand and the ninjas, and the battles between the other mystical lands and everything. It's like, there's so much potential there, and the show started getting better, and then like it's still, granted, it would have taken like another 3 seasons of it slowly getting better to get good, but I don't know. I think overall the Netflix stuff was great. I mean, I remember when they were announcing those shows, I was like, and then like season 1 of Daredevil comes out, I'm like, this is it. This is the future. We're going to get all the, like, any Marvel character that doesn't get a movie, this is what we're going to get. We're going to get fucking Daredevil. We're going to get Blade. We're going to get Moon Knight. Oh, it's all going to be a Netflix universe. And yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. Some people would argue that maybe it would have been better if Netflix were making some of the new Marvel shows instead of Marvel making the new Marvel shows, because the quality is very sporadic. But I like Moon Knight, and I liked WandaVision, and I even like She-Hulk. I thought She-Hulk was good. I thought it was what it was supposed to be.
WandaVision like was
fantastic.
Well, it was good, but fuck me, was it depressing.
It was, but it was dark, and then people say, oh, but by the end of it, it just degenerated into, like, you know, lasers and flying, like normal, like generic shit. But I thought that WandaVision done enough cool stuff throughout the whole season, and it earned the right to do that at the end. Like, I think it gave you enough of the weird, like, you know, psychotic fucking, you know, memory lane mind trip of like all the sitcoms and everything, that by the time we got to the last episode, it's like, yeah, I'm ready for some fucking whiz bang bang kind of situation. And then we got some of the best dialogue.
Breathing. Yeah. What is it? Breathing. You don't know if you haven't watched, or if you haven't seen any of the comic books that involve Wanda Maximoff, like, and you just watch this, like, if you watch the movies as well as this, then you kind of get what she's like. But if you've seen other versions of Wanda Maximoff and this is her grieving, this is fucking tame.
Yeah, it annoyed me when people said that it didn't make sense that Wanda was a bad guy in Doctor Strange. I'm like, did you not watch WandaVision? Like, I thought it set it up perfectly, and I think Vision is probably one of my favorite Marvel characters, like and in the MCU, like the journey that we've gone on with that character, and I'm so excited. Because there's not a lot of moments in the MCU where you're like, oh, I can't, you know, like how it used to be, where it's like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. Don't really feel like that a lot with the more recent Marvel stuff. But one time I did feel that was with White Vision at the end, where I'm like, okay, so he's back alive, but he's got all the memories, none of the emotions. What the fuck does he do with all that information?
And where has he fucked off to? Like,
where has he gone? He delivered one of the best lines in fucking anything ever. But what is grief if not love persevering? He drops that fucking shit on you, then he turns white and he fucking flies off. And I'm like, I can't wait. And I've been waiting, what is it, 5 years nearly now to see to see what happens with White Vision. So I'm hoping we get him at some point. But yeah, fucking great. I thought Moon Knight it wasn't as great as a Moon Knight series could have been, but it was good enough. I think Moon Knight was good. It wasn't quite as edgy.
I really do like the craziness. Not as crazy as you can get in the fucking movie, the comic book.
Yeah, I love the whole mystery of the personalities and what's going on. That show is what the Acolyte should be doing, and has so fucking miraculously fucked that up. But the mystery element of Moon Knight, I think, and with the personalities, was all good. It could have been a little bit darker, but I'm not like some fucking edgy teenager who needs everything to be dark. But it could have been a little bit darker.
To me, it just feels like all the director did is sat her ass on the Old Republic and went, "I'm fucking making that." No. Oh, no.
It's not it. The Acolyte, I'm sorry, we're not going to get into it, but that's not it. That is not it at all.
Everyone else is bitching
some
about
cool action, some decent action in one episode, more than halfway through the series, isn't going to make up for the ridiculous amount of bad writing and stupid decisions that you've made.
The way
but we're not doing it.
Sorry, the way that Padawan got murdered.
Not enough. It's bad. Learn to write, people. Learn to write. Anyway, oh man, I want to say, right before we wrap this up, last show that I want to talk about is Young Justice. Man, have you seen this show?
It's on Netflix, and
it's so 3 seasons. 3 seasons are on Netflix. There's 4 altogether, but 4 isn't on Netflix. So I've got to find that. I've got a link. I'll send you if you want it. I tell you what, I binged last week or the week before. I binged all 3 seasons of Young Justice, and that's old school seasons, 23 episode seasons. This is, forget comic books, forget superheroes. This is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. The way these characters develop, the way it calls back on little moments, like little character moments, not just big plot beats. And like it calls back and it relies on you to fucking be invested and to remember and to care. And it pays, it pays you back in dividends.
That's cool. I do like shit like that.
It's so good.
Like, you pay attention, you're going to get rewarded. Right.
The characters, you age with them. They it does that thing, like where it has like the text at the bottom that says like the time and the date and the location and everything, which not only like sets it up as like, okay, we're going for a bit more of like a mature,
right?
It does that, and it sets you up for like, okay, so this is a bit more of like a mature animated show, but also it shows you that it reminds you that the time does progress. Robin does turn into Nightwing. Aqualad does become Aquaman. Like, it doesn't just keep everyone where they are just for fucking having, for the sake of giggles and familiarity. Like, it gets dark. There's fucking, characters struggle with sex and relationships and their like identity. And there's deaths and betrayal and like interweaving plot lines that go all through the seasons. Each season feels like it's its own like whole complete thing, but they also do like build on each other. Like, Young Justice is absolutely superb all the way through. Not a bad thing to say about this show. The voice acting's great, the animation, the fucking action. You get it's a fantastic introduction for the DC universe if you don't know a lot, because the Justice League are in it, but they don't take over from the focus from the kids and stuff, like, but not just like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Like, you've got like the Atom and Captain Atom and fucking like Blue Beetle and like Zatanna and Dr. Fate. Like, fucking everyone is in this. And it doesn't just rely on the same old like Batman, Superman villains. You know, it's not just fucking Joker and Lex Luthor all the time, even though they do show up. And when they do, it fucking adds to it. Like, I could have done a whole episode just on this fucking show. But
I don't know if you've heard what's come out lately in the last 24 hours is the anime version of the Suicide Squad.
I've heard about this. I haven't seen much of it, and I might check it out.
Yeah, it's not dubbed yet, obviously, but of what I've seen of it, everyone seems to like it, and they've gone a bit nuts over it. But
yeah, I remember the about 10 years ago they did anime shows of Wolverine, Blade, and X-Men. They only did one season of each, and I think they're like 8 or 10 episodes each. Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
If you want something that's a little bit like harder edged, if you like your anime, but you know, Blade particularly lends himself to anime quite well, as does Wolverine, to be fair. And it's much better than that Japanese bullshit we got in the fucking movie. Yeah,
just everyone being carved into pieces.
Other than that, what other shows have I covered? Yeah, I think I've covered all the ones that I wanted to talk about. McManus. Oh, Preacher's really good. Another Garth Ennis one. There's only 4 seasons of that. It's mostly accurate. It's mostly accurate to the books. Dominic Cooper and I can't remember the other 2 actors who play the Irish vampire and the woman who plays Tulip, who's just like this Southern Belle badass character. There's a villain in that show who's one of the best villains in any show of all time, and his origin episode is one of the funniest, wildest things you've ever seen. I can't remember his name. He's the bald dude with the white suit.
Pip Torrens, Her Star,
that's him. Anyway, that's a fucking great show.
Fantastic.
With a really really lean 4 seasons. I think there's like 10 or 12 episodes per season. Really satisfying.
Joseph Gilgan.
That's him, who was in Misfits. And this show was made by or produced by Goldberg and Rogan, who obviously are now doing The Boys. So it's very much that sort of thing, but it's in the same way that The Boys is a satire of superheroes. Preacher is obviously, it's all sending up religion and like urban legend and that kind of thing.
I've got to say, one thing that just made me uneasy and just creeped out by that, like by the character, is Graham McTavish as the Saint of Killers.
He's so good. That whole storyline, how that plays out, like, and how he comes into play, like with the others, like when, you know, without spoiling it, like he's sometimes antagonistic, sometimes they need to help each other. The way it all ties in. Treat yourselves. Preachers on Amazon Prime. Again, not sponsored.
If you've not seen it and you want to watch some fucked up shit, watch Preacher. It's right.
Absolutely. But if there's any comic book shows that you think we should have mentioned, we didn't mention, or maybe some ones that we talked about that you think, fuck that show, they shouldn't have talked about it. You know, what got you into, you know, what shows like got you into this stuff? You know, what shows have kept you into this stuff? What stuff do you think like pushes the boundaries? You know, or what else do you want to hear us talk about? You know, anything. just write some comments, watch the show, listen, write, like, subscribe, click the bell so you know when we're coming live with a new one, because sometimes I'm a little bit last minute with the social media posts. You know, I do that on purpose to get you to click the bell.
Like, comment, subscribe, comment, rubber dub dub dub.
Do it all. Do it all. Do it all. We're going to be back. Not a big gap between this time and next week. Next week, we're going to be talking download with George. We've all been watching some movies, some new, some not so new, but we're all just going to have a, you know, I like this more casual conversational thing that we've been doing the last couple of episodes. So we'll see you next time. Yeah. So peace out. Bye.
Bye.